Afternoon, everyone. This is FT71 again with another Trader Bite for Monday, September 9th, 2013. Trading futures, options on futures, and foreign currency involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. My personal opinions, market data, and recommendations are subject to change without notice. Past performance is not indicative of future results. That's a required disclaimer that I have to read out on every video because I'm a registered broker for Stage 5, who's a sponsor of this broadcast. Let's start out the day by looking at the key overnight news as usual. We want to know if there's anything fundamental driving the market. Overnight, the biggest news was the Chinese trade data month over month for August came in at 28.52 billion versus the expected 20 billion. Imports are up 7% versus the expected 11.3%. The Spanish IBEX 35 index underperformed after Madrid lost out to Tokyo to win rights to host the 2020 Olympic Games. Fed watcher John Hilsenrath said many Fed officials are undecided on whether to scale back bond purchases in September. That just leaves that whole tapering thing up in the air, creating or introducing or continuing the uncertainty in the market as far as the QE tapering is concerned. Overall, that's really it. Not seeing too much else on the markets that could be a driving factor. Expecting today to be sleepy. The economic releases for today, we have consumer credit at 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern. Consumer credit expected at 12.3 billion. Expected at 12.3 billion. Speakers today, looks like 10 a.m. Central. Feds Williams, who's a Dove non-FOMC, is going to be speaking at the NABE in San Francisco. And then the Italian PM Latta in Brussels at noon. And 1:15, of course, Chancellor Merkel as she continues her campaign. Auctions at 7:50 this morning, which was about 20 minutes ago. The Euro, the French put out 3, 6, and 12-month T-bill auctions worth 7.4 billion. Fed's outright purchases for Feb 2036 and through August 2043 for $1.25 billion to $1.075 billion at 10 o'clock, and then 10:30, 3 and 6 month T-bill auctions for worth $55 billion. Overall, let's look at the week since it's Monday. So we just covered Monday's numbers. Tomorrow, the Bank of Japan meeting minutes come out at approximately 6:50 p.m., which is actually tonight, Central. Nothing else of major significance that day. Tuesday, so looks like ECB's Asmussen is speaking tomorrow at 7:30 Central. Let's see what else is there. A few big auctions, 3-year notes tomorrow, 31 billion. Other data, Wednesday, the UK releases jobless claims. We have crude inventories at 9:30 Central. Asmussen speaks again at noon. Thursday, we have industrial production in Europe at 4 a.m. Central. And then initial jobless claims in the U.S. at 7:30, with continuing claims to follow. PPI comes out on Friday at 7:30 a.m. and then the University of Michigan prelim, which is the biggest number of the week, at 8:55 a.m. on Friday. Fairly muted week as far as economic releases are concerned. Nothing really driving. So it's just headline risk, Syria, and so forth that could be a driver this week. Now let's look at the overall markets. Switch to the screen. So what you're looking at here is, again, the volume profiling charts. These are one-day profiles that show the regular trading hours only. And you can see, as discussed on Thursday and Friday, value keeps going higher. These red lines are the volume point of control. The blue is the value area. You can see that Thursday was a highly compressed day, so we expect Friday to be an expansionary day, which is what we got. Non-farm payrolls that day, so it's behaving as expected. But value keeps going higher. Okay, you could see value just increasing in its price, with Friday's closing at 58.50 for the VPOC. Right now, it's trading 58.75. And then the overall picture of what's happening. So this is the trend line that I talked about last Wednesday. That's forming. That was forming on a downslope, and I had said that we had broken through it on the 4th, which was Wednesday. We had broken through it, and then we had that Putin comment regarding its support, military support for Syria, if the external community intervenes in Syria, basically pointing the finger at the U.S. during the G20 comments, and we had that drop, which was a lot more than I had expected, and then we bounced back up and finished the day higher. This was on Friday. But the overall picture is we are still trading the prior composite balance area. This is a balance zone from the 15th through the 26th, and we're right in the middle of it, 1655 being the key figure for that balance zone, and that's where we are now. Again, we're trading 58.25. It's an orderly auction seeking higher prices. The key targets, again, are 77, 77 even, and then we're back in this gap zone, which is between 69.75 and 81.25. Let's look at the overnight action as we close in. Composite first. As we close in on this morning, nothing really different here. There's your prior balance zone. This is the most recent balance zone down here. In fact, I'm going to pull this back. This is most recent balance zone. The number to be aware of below is 3750. 55 isn't in play. It's likely to act as a magnet in the chop zone, and that's really what it's done. 67 above that, and then 69 to this 78 area for the gap. 24-hour chart. Oh, I had overnight when I said 24 hours. Still recomputing the chart. I'm using a lot of tick data, which most software cannot handle, but with Investor RT, IRT here from Linsoft, it crunches away at it. It's probably time to upgrade this computer. It seems like 6 cores don't do it anymore. Anyway, it's still pulling in the data as I click the wrong button, but the goal here is to look at the overnight session and see what we did overnight versus Friday, and if there are any areas overnight that require some special attention. This is taking normal than it normally would, so maybe we won't get to it. The overall configuration, let's skip the overnight, but let's look at Friday's action. The overall configuration is that we are stuck at 58.25, 58.50 area, which is Friday's VPOC, as I'd mentioned. an open in this zone would probably lead to chop on the open, two-sided trading. There's really no advantage to either side here. The key area to test above is 61. That's the key LVN plus Friday's initial balance high. Again, if you do not understand these acronyms, please swing by my website, www.futurestrader71.com/glossary, futurestrader71.com/glossary, and you have those terms there. Key numbers above, 61, as I had mentioned, 64 half, which I didn't mention before, but is still in play, 67, 69.75. Key numbers below is the key LVN below, which is 1655.5, which also acts as a minor CLVN, and then the 52 overnight is right at the LVN zone below. Any drop below this is likely to explore much lower prices and brings us back towards that 37.50 area. I'm not saying that that's the target today because that's 20 points away, but it starts to migrate, it starts to move us towards that direction as we go back into that prior value. Looks like my charts are stuck, so I'll end the broadcast here by saying it's Monday. There's nothing major on deck. We do have consumer credit, but it's not a major number. We still have the Syria problem looming, so there's headline risk, and the general trend is moving up, and it has gotten a little bit ahead of itself. But the expectation for today is a two-way chop type of trade, and if it explores lower, if it explores higher, I expect the auction to be controlled and gradual up to 69.75. If it reaches lower, however, it may be more aggressive and it may reach deeper than you think. So look for where we open, how we act around the open as an important early clue, and what areas it's able to test. If it's not able to test anything on the upside, then refrain. My advice, my opinion, is to refrain from being aggressive on the long side. It does not mean that I would not take longs. It just means that I know that longs have to be tentative and they have to be smaller if I'm going to take them today. I'll leave you with that, and sorry my charts got locked up here. It's still processing, but I'll update you on Twitter. Take care.